Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Tales of the Game, number 10. Do Women Have Agency? Had a very, very long day at work today, and I am exhausted. But I got into a bit of a Twitter row today, as you tend to do, of course, and it's just all part of the game. You got to go out there and ruffle some feathers sometimes in order to, get traction to the channel and get people into the funnel. It's just how it goes. I hate doing it just as much as everybody else, but it's just the way the game is played. But hey, got like 15, 20 followers on the day, so you can't deny that it works, right? Outrage sells. So anywho, basically what we're going to do here is go over a discussion on Twitter I had with a certain Mr. Tradester on Twitter today. Guy, young buck here, perceives himself as quite the trad individual here. So we're going to have some fun with this guy and break down as to why his arguments are sorely lacking. And hopefully the guy watches it, and I will give him serious props to this kid if he finishes this video all the way through, because this one's going to ruffle some feathers, I'm sure, but I'll have a lot of respect for the guy if he actually goes through and watches the whole thing. So let's scroll down here to what it was. Well, already off the bat, sir, the pinned tweet is already making me not want to like you, but we'll see if you impress me here. My advice as a young man to young Christian women, well, if you're a young man, you have no business giving anybody advice, let alone other women, but that's besides the point, is that if your BF is asking for sex before marriage, it's a red flag. All right, let's just neuter all men in the world. Why don't we? Longhouse 101 here. He doesn't love you, I'm sure. Leave him and find a good man who has self-control, doesn't view you as an object. A good man will wait till marriage. Use this filter. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, pal. Wonderful. Yeah. Yes, Governor. Yes, it is this guy. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are enjoying a nice weekend with your girl. And Culture Warriors next week on your channel, I believe. So tune into that next Thursday on Governor Megatron's channel, where we will be discussing all the goings on in the Hollywood and nerd sphere and all that fun stuff. So maybe we should shut on Indiana Jones next week, Gov. I'm taking great pleasure in seeing that movie crash and burn horribly. So I don't know, maybe we could do that. But anyhow, all right, Mr. Tradester here. Not off to a good start with this one, but let's move on here. Let's actually scroll down to the replies here as to what got us started in the first place here. All right, here we go. Let's see. Close. We're getting close. And let's see here. You know what might actually just be easier to go through mine here. There we go. Let's see. Oh, wait, shit. It was a reply, wasn't it? Yeah, that's how it works. All right, going down here. Had a long day today, guys, so bear with me for a second. Got into a lot of Twitter rows and such. Okay. No, this isn't going to be efficient. All right, let me go back. Okay. I tweeted too much today. Let me see here. Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Right at the start here. Here we go. Wonderful. Here's the start of it. So, lovely Allie Drummond here. Of course, she and I have had many interactions in the past. I'd consider us, acquaintances and such. We did have a plan on doing a show together at one point, but she became a new mother and such, and things got busy. So it's all good though. So yes, Allie, good friend of many of my friends and such, and she does pretty good work. Now, right at the start here, Allie's talking about how she's had plenty of experiences with the RP spaces and has read a lot of the material and such. Most famously, Dalrock, Christian RP writer from back in the day. His blog is still up if you guys want to go and read it. I actually pointed Allie in Dalrock's direction maybe a year ago or so. I forget exactly when, but I'm sure I wasn't the only one that got Dalrock on her radar, but I'm glad she took a look at him. But yeah, so basically Allie here is just talking about, many issues that Christians would have with the RP stuff and how to interact with it accordingly. And our a fresh little youngster, trad guy, young buck here is opening his mouth. Why is he opening his mouth to a random woman on the internet? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's because, as we all know, uh, men are just basically trained from birth in this day and age in the gynocracy to view women as authority figures. And of course, he needs to get himself in the good graces of the women. Of course, an ostensibly Christian one is probably within his wheelhouse. So again, like, why are you bothering with a random woman online? Why are you seeking approval from a random woman online who you're never going to meet, who you're never going to bang? It's just not worth your time or effort. And the only reason why any of us do it is because we have accounts and brands and things that we can work on here and show people some lessons here and maybe have some pleasant interactions with other people. But as a general rule of thumb, it's just a bad idea. Don't waste your time doing it. But anywho, so this whiz kid here is going to talk about the problems with the red pill. Doesn't offer solutions. It gives the worst advice, which is to sin and use women for your sexual perversions. Hooking up shouldn't be the priority of a man. It should be to find that one woman who is his rib and will fulfill him and his purpose. So it's just like standard TradCon talking points 101 here. We're going to go through this more as we go on. But again, because I wanted to start some shit today and get the funnel going again. So if this guy ever watches it, just understand the game, sir. And of course, nobody in the chat, go after this kid. Don't go dunking on him. I think his heart is generally in the right place, but, give him a little bit of a break here. So moving on as to why I started some shit here. Don't take it personally. It's just what you got to do. Why are you looking for solutions to your life from random men on the internet? Take some responsibility. Stop bitching about the big, bad, scary men talking about banging chicks online. So basically my overall point here is, why are you looking for solutions from random guys on the internet to your problems in your life? And what I mean by that is not that, you could be looking for, things to assist you if you're having an issue or anything like that. Maybe you need to get over approach anxiety. Maybe you need some help with your fashion. Maybe you need some openers. Maybe you need whatever. There's no problem going seeking out things like this. But to, look for a quote unquote solution to your life to fix the whole thing, give you like a path, to set forth and such. This is why, many people have gripes with Jordan Peterson and such in our circles. Why are you just seeking for RP guys to give you answers for your entire life? There's going to be multiple people in the manosphere, the RP, whatever you want to call it, who are all going to have multiple different perspectives on things, who are all going to have multiple different, we'll call them, ways you can address certain problems and such. And you're going to get a different answer from many, many people. And the whole point of the whole sphere is that it is an amoral space because we're not going to be making decisions for you. That's up to you. Why is it up to you? Because we all want different things. Look at me for an example. Actually, it says it right here on the right-hand side. Look at the bio. Big game hunter, amateur paleontologist. I got different wants, desires, interests than anybody else. Maybe somebody else wants to spend a bunch of time, watching anime or whatever the hell it is that, guys want to do these days. Or maybe you want to be, a road tripper guy and just want to go hiking. Or maybe you just want to, maybe you do want the trad life and want to settle down and such and have a bunch of kids and raise them up on a farm and everything like that. That's cool. Do whatever you want to do, man. But why are you seeking, advice from other people online to fulfill, what it is that you want out of your own life? Like, that's up to you, dude. No one's coming to help you. You're a man. No one's coming to, be your lifeline for you. You're a man. It's your job to carve out your own destiny in the world and, basically just say fuck you to anybody who tells you otherwise. So this is just the basic point here. But what really gets important here is as we continue on with this guy. So he goes on to say, I have solutions already. I'm just disappointed by how perverts like to give bad solutions that destroy marriage by leading some men astray. Hooking up isn't the solution. Well, there's many issues with this. Let's go to my quote tweet where I respond here. Feminism, the Industrial Revolution, and birth control killed marriage, boy, not the RP. The biggest RP accounts have a couple million followers in a world of 7 billion people. Marriage is dying on its own and was dying long before we came along. So again, this is just the classic slings and arrows that people throw at the RP space, saying that we're the ones that killed marriage and all this stuff, which is just completely false, absolutely nonsensical. The marriage rates were dipping in the West long before the first, RP forums came online in the late 90s, early 2000s. This isn't exactly anything new. This trend has been going on for quite some time. Perhaps you could make an argument that it's making it worse. I tend to disagree with that. And even if it is making it worse, it would be so minuscule as it to be basically a rounding error as far as I'm concerned. Guys in the chat will know this, how absolutely difficult it is to actually find switched on dudes that are RP aware in your real life. It is nigh on impossible. There are so many guys who are plugged into the system. It is very, very difficult to find like-minded people these days. But that is besides the point here. Basically, it just goes back to once again is, I guess the other thing here to add is that hooking up isn't the solution. And this guy goes on to say something about hookup culture as well. But, all the data points to people are having less sex than ever. So this is just like a common quip you could throw back at like the trad people. It's like, oh, we live in such this degenerate time. And I tend to agree, on a metaphysical level, and the fact that, our societies are pretty terrible all across the board. And, you guys all know me as being a very, very right-wing character indeed. Not a fan of these things, even though all that stuff is true. Just describing the situation as to what it actually isn't really helping anybody. So saying that there's like this epidemic of hookup culture is just not true. I mean, people are having less sex than ever. So if you're going to diagnose the problem, at least diagnose it correctly, sir. So let's move on here. Where does this guy come in here? All right. Yes, feminism is demonic, and I completely agree with you. The idea should be to undo the damage done to marriage and men by feminists, not make it worse. Often the solution by red pills to make it worse and not real solutions. Well, this is going to be the lesson time, folks. So get out your pencils, get out your pens and papers, grab out your notebooks. Classes in session here. The RP does not offer quote-unquote solutions on a societal level. It never has, and it never will, because it's not this grandiose, great big swooping movement. There is nothing that any of the legitimate guys in the space will tell you about that. All your fresh and fits and your whatevers and your Andrew Tates of the world and all those other losers and your pearly things and all these other clowns, who just parrot RP talking points without knowing what the hell they're talking about, will tell you that it's about saving the West. It will tell you it's about saving men from themselves, about changing divorce laws and all this other crap that everybody is talking, going on about. You can argue whether those things would be a good thing, but newsflash to everybody, who's just coming into this space here, is that many of these things have already been tried, and they've all bursted up in flames. You can look to organizations like the Oath Keepers, who went on their marches in the tens of thousands on Washington demanding for men's rights. And the fact that nobody here in the chat knows what that is a good indication that they didn't do fuck all. So again, a lot of this stuff has been going on for quite some time, long before anybody else came online in the 2017, 2018, 2019 era, when the RP stuff was first really picking up on the YouTubes and everything like that. We've had these discussions long before. The other issue with having broad solutions for all men is the fact that most men suck. And the reason for that being, well, there's a multitude of reasons for that, but the reason why, we're never going to have this grandiose army of dudes like all marching for rights and everything like this is there's a couple issues with it. Number one, men don't take rights through marching and through democracy and such. Men take rights with the sword. And that has been the staple throughout all of human history. So there's never going to be a time where men are just going to be able to rally around something like men's rights to the same degree that, to the same degree that like women can with something like feminism. All right. Women are the more vulnerable sex. They're always going to have somebody who's going to step up to the plate and go ahead and take care of them. And this is just, a staple of the world. It's never going to change. You're not going to have sympathy for men in the same degree that you're going to have sympathy for women. It's just never going to happen. So get that out of your mind. There is no rallying around like democracy here to change like divorce court laws or anything like that. That's never going to happen. There's no rallying around democracy to get rid of feminism. That's also never going to happen. There's no, rallying around democracy to get rid of birth control. That's also never going to happen. These things are here for the foreseeable future until some level of collapse comes or until you get some Caesar type figure to basically just do a hard reset. So these claims for, the RP doesn't offer solutions. It's like, well, No one in the space has ever claimed that that's what people are here to do anyway. Like we could talk about like the issues that are, plaguing our society these days, but there's never been a 10-step program on the RP forums in the sidebar series saying this is the step-by-step process in which men take over the West and reassert our dominance and get rid of all of the feminism and make women great again and make them barefoot in the kitchen and make them quiet and skinny. It's never going to happen. So get that kind of stuff out of your mind. All right. The solutions, if you want to call them solutions, that the RP offers is simply about fixing dudes. This is, again, one of the biggest misconceptions that everybody has about the RP space. The RP space is not about fucking girls. It's about fixing men. Because the reason why most guys aren't fucking girls is because they've got something wrong with them. All right. And this can come from a multitude of reasons. Maybe you're not in shape. Maybe you're not assertive. Maybe, you have approach anxiety. Maybe you just don't know how to socialize with people properly. Maybe you don't have hobbies. Maybe you have nice guy syndrome. There's a whole myriad of ways as to why you are currently having issues. And 9 times out of 10, they are stemming from you. So all this nonsense that you hear about on the biggest, quote unquote red pill, I like to call them manosphere TM stuff, which is a term I hope would catch on because I am the nemesis of these people. I want all these people out, want them far away from the space. So all their fans and all the other nonsense and all the bullshit they keep peddling does not fall in my lap or in the laps of any of my friends who have to pick up the pieces of all the bullshit that they leave in our wake. And it's getting quite tiresome these days because, especially for me, because I spend a lot of time in online right-wing circles. And look at that. You got Nick Fuentes on Fresh and Fit right now. Absolute clowns, morons. Well, but that's a story for a different day. Any solution you want to get from the RP is just going to be about fixing yourself. Again, going back to what we talk about all the time. What is rule 0? Positive male identity, male sexual strategy. That's it. All right. So you come to the RP space. There's thousands upon thousands of dudes in there with thousands and thousands of field reports. And inevitably, somebody is going to have the same issue as you at some point. Pretty simple. All right. Fix yourself. Don't be bitching about everybody else and making these broad, proclamations and such of how like we're going to solve everything. The other problem with this declaration of like how we're going to solve all these problems and such. Remember I was talking about earlier about how most dudes suck? Well, the reason I say that is because men are hierarchical in nature. This is how we form our societies, dominance hierarchies. We got some guys are better than others. Women are far more communitarian. Again, this is like 101 stuff. Don't need to rehash it too much, but I'm not interested in bettering the situation for all men because most men suck. As we've said before, I think it was who's it, Bronze Age Pervert, maybe Med Gold, somebody like this, made the claim that like 90% of men today are spiritually homosexual, and I largely agree with that statement. I'm not interested in making the guy's life super easy. That is, some fucking fat ass that doesn't put in any work, or some crybaby leftist, cuck smurf like Destiny or something like that. I'm not interested in advancing, those guys' advances in life. The only thing I'd be interested in is taking off the artificial bullshit shackles that keep, men of power down. That would be the only thing that I would find any interest in, in removing or changing. So no, I don't want this broad, fantastic solution to better, every single man on the planet. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in having guys have the opportunity to rise above all the bullshit. So if you want to go and put in the work, I want to get rid of any artificial, restrictions on that one. So let us carry on here. Now, of course, playing with this kid once again, because anytime you get somebody in here who just doesn't know what they're talking about and claims that the RP says this, like makes a declarative statement, it's like, all right, dude, point to me in the like RP Bible book somewhere, or the Enchiridion, or the Book of Armaments or whatever, like the Silmarillion. I don't know. Point me to the RP Codex book or some bullshit as to where it is that everybody signs up, puts the blood stain, signs on the dotted line, says, I will uphold these truths. They're self-evident, or any of this nonsense. No, you're never going to find any of that crap. Whenever somebody says, like, makes a declarative statement on the RP, like, the RP says this, it's like, okay, well, who are you talking about when you say the RP says this? Are you talking about Rolo? Are you talking about myself? Are you talking about Delrock? Are you talking about Chesty? Are you talking about, Jack Napier? Who are you talking about? all those people are radically different. And those people are even more radically different than, let's see, point to somebody like, I don't know, some of your more MGTOW people, your pickup artist people, like somebody like Troy Francis or George Bruno or Turd Flinging Monkey. All these people are radically different from each other. They have radically different views on things. They come to different conclusions. People have different, expertises on certain things. So just the statement of self of saying like the RP makes this declarative statement, I just already know you don't know what you're talking about. You've gotten your information fed to you from some reaction channel like that cuck Smurf Destiny who says the red pill says this. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. You've done no reading. You've done no research. You couldn't point to me, a single poster on the old forums are. You couldn't even tell me who Roosh is. You couldn't tell me who Royce is. You couldn't tell me, what the Soul Swab forum was. You can't tell me what the Married Red Pill was. You couldn't tell me what the Sidebar series was. You couldn't point me to Wine More Please or Chesty or Archwinger or Jack Ten of Hearts. You couldn't point to any of these fucking people. So don't come in here and tell me that the RP says this. I know you're full of shit when you come in here and say something like that. $2 super chat here from TK. Just got here. The answer is no. Maybe. The answer could be yes. Maybe. But thanks for the $2, TK. Happy to have you in here. Who else is in the chat? Hey, Vince is in the chat. Yeah. See, indeed. All right. Let's see. Moving on here. So yes. So you'll see this on Twitter a lot. Me and a bunch of the guys in the T-Rex army, we've started doing this more regularly now because we're just sick and tired of having to deal with all this bullshit of people coming into our mentions and repeating Manosphere TM talking points. And we love doing this stuff where we just ask somebody, hey, can you tell me what Rule 0 is? And then I'll engage all day with you about solutions. And I've yet to come across a guy who's been able to tell me what Rule 0 is when he's been bitching about people in my mentions. Which again just tells me you haven't done any of the research, you've done none of the work, you don't know what you're talking about. This is literally the first fucking thing you learn when you go on to the Red Pill subreddit and people point you in the direction of the Sidebar series and all that good stuff. The very first thing you learn should be Rule 0. And the fact that so many people who go ahead and watch, Fresh and Fit, whatever, Tate, Pearly, and none of them know what Rule 0 is, should tell you immediately right then and there that those guys that they're getting their information from also don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's basically like a game of telephone, but no, like it's wrong from the start. You're already getting bad information from the start. So of course it's going to go to shit when it goes to the next person's mouth, the blind leading the blind, literally. So we go on here with our guy here. Let me go back to his replies here because we go on for a little bit more here. Let me see. Aha, here we go. There we go. All right, excellent. This guy, again, one of the classic, slings and arrows people will fling at the RP about how the RP is just another form of feminism, which is ridiculous because, as we said before, and are not a collective. We're not here for the collective betterment of all dudes in the world. Again, if you guys have heard any of my streams when my good friend Sixer comes on, the first thing we always reiterate in every one of our shows that we have is if something's going wrong in the relationship, it's the dude's fault. All right. Like, it's your responsibility to lead. Men lead, women follow. It's the way it's been going from the beginning of time. If something is going wrong, it's generally your fucking fault. And even if the chick did step out of line and cause problems, that's still going to be on you because there is no enforcement mechanism to actually punish the woman for anything wrong that she does. So to the topic of the show, do women have agency? In the real world, in real reality, yes, they do. They do have the ability to make their own choices, obviously, but are they ever going to feel the blunt force and the consequences of those actions? 99 times out of 100, no, they are not, because there's always going to be some guy, some dude, again, issues with, holding all men as a collective here. There's going to be a portion of dudes, the betas, the simps, the cocks, whatever the hell you want to call them, the omegas, I don't really care, whatever label people are using these days. Those guys are going to be there to basically be a save-a-ho, take care of the girl and fix her damn problems for her, essentially. So even if the chick does do something wrong in your relationship, and even if the chick does fuck it up in some way, she's never going to feel the, blunt force of that, of those actions. Someone's going to go ahead and save her. So de facto, no, women don't really, ever have consequences for their actions. They don't really have agency like de facto, because they're never going to feel the blunt of it. So again, RP is not like the right way, like the male form of feminism or anything like that. Also, kind of a farcical statement. The patriarchy wouldn't allow the red pill. Again, the red pill is just guys swapping notes, wanting to get laid, which has literally been occurring since the beginning of time. Under any patriarchal system, the RP wouldn't like magically go away or something like that. Even if there was to be based patriarchy again, it's just ridiculous. Because one of the things I get in the fights the most with trads all the time, and this is actually something Bronze Age Pervert's been mentioning a lot on his podcast lately that I very much agree with, is they like to hold up these men of the past, like the Christian West of like the medieval ages, as this paragon of virtue and everything like this, where everyone had perfect sexual mores and nobody was sleeping around and everyone was virgins and such like this. And I hold the point, and I think largely all of this was complete bullshit for a large majority of human history. You can look back to data of colonial America in the 1700s and Puritan New England, and in the I forget which year it was. I gotta call Closeton about this. He was doing research about this, but it was like in a period of like 1750 to 1760 or something in Pennsylvania, Quaker country. It was something like 80% of marriages were shotgun weddings, during that time. So guy and a gal were getting rough and heavy with it out in the stables out back or some shit. Guy knocks the girl up. Oh, well, now it's time for you to go marry that chick. And I very much believe this is probably the standard throughout most of human history. Especially in ages where there wasn't any birth control. It's like, trads have this really weird view where like women just don't want to have sex. And we're going to get to that later here. This guy was making another point here as well, but it's like, newsflash fellas, women do like sex. Women want to have it. Just because they don't want to have it with you doesn't mean they don't want to have it in general. And you can't just repress this, central part of the human experience in our biological programming for years and years and years and not have like people step out on it. I thoroughly reject this. I think it's absolute nonsense. And also throughout the entire Middle Ages, you have people of the upper classes, particularly men, even some that were priests and even some that were even popes, that were stepping out on their wives. They were having mistresses on the side. They were having concubines. Some of them had, courtesans, all these kinds of things. We go back even further to biblical times when even Abraham, the father of the, Jewish tradition, had multiple wives. King Solomon had thousands of wives as well. It's just simple staple throughout all human history. Men at the top of hierarchies get access to multiple women. Again, we don't have to rehash, the terms of hypergamy here again, but women want to date up and men want variety. This is just the way the game is played and always has been and always will be. So carrying on here, let's see. All right, so here's going to be the main crux of the argument here about agency, solutions, and everything else that I wanted to talk about here for the rest of the show here. You think men will allow daughters to be banged by perverts like red pillars? Again, like using it as a huge term. I mean, there are Christians in the manosphere. There are married guys in the manosphere. There are all kinds of guys all over the place in this space. So again, like red pillars, like again, what is this term referring to? It's ambiguous. It's a weird term to clump everybody in together. It's nonsensical. Virginity will be held in high regards, and anything below that would be shameful for father and family. They will protect their women. All right. Again, like implying that women weren't getting around before. I don't know. Go read the Shakespeare play, Measure for Measure, and you'll find out real quick what it was like when everyone tried to ban premarital sex in history. It's just literally not possible. And they even knew about this in Shakespeare's time. Moving on here. And here's a fantastic quote here. I forget who coined this. It was either Ryan or maybe it was Chesty or maybe it was one of the old guys in the Married Red Pill forum. I forget. But this statement goes on, gets repeated a lot. So the most sexist thing the RP ever did was treat women like human beings. Women aren't part of your narcissistic fantasy, boy. They have their own wants, desires, and goals. There's hundreds of reasons why women have sex. And simply because they want to is one of those reasons. This is getting at the crux of the argument and basically what I wanted to talk about for the rest of the time here about women having agency. So trads have this vision in their mind where they're going to keep their daughters on a short leash around their household and then swoop them off and marry them off to a deserving husband this day and age. I have a lot of questions about that, particularly about the caliber of men that you're looking for these days, because, uh, unless you're okay with, marrying your daughter off to somebody who's significantly older than her, I think you're going to run into some problems with the caliber of men that are walking along these days. But that's a discussion for a different day. I think the other problem here is, and I've ran into this issue many, many times. Of course, you guys will know my background coming from a tradcom background. And this is actually kind of why I have a little bit more sympathy for this kid and didn't go too hardcore on him as I wanted to. Because I actually see a lot of myself, a lot of my early arguments and talking points coming out of this guy. Hold on one second here. Yeah. All right. So Trad's got this thing in their mind where they want to keep the daughters on the short leash, protect them from the evil, men that are out there and everything like this who want to fuck them, which is literally all men. And if a man isn't saying otherwise, and he's lying, but that's besides the point. Keep them on a short leash to protect them from a degeneracy and move right along. Well, there's a couple of issues with this. Number one, the kind of guy that, the kind of guy that's going to put up with that, number one, is generally speaking not the kind of guy that you want to be marrying your daughter off to in the first place. Generally, the kind of guy that is more suited to this is the kind of, guy who's on the top of his game, the guy that can attract a bunch of women, the guy that can be a protector, a provider, and things like this. And that kind of guy, generally speaking, is not going to sit around and wait. Now, maybe you get lucky. Maybe you do find the trad guy who goes to church and wants to save himself for marriage. Maybe you find the Lambda character, my friend Lambda from the UK. Guy's jacked beyond all shit, makes good money, very, very smart, intelligent guy, Christian dude, doesn't want to have premarital sex. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you find one of those dudes, and hey, more power to you if you can. I think that's significantly rarer and rarer these days, but hey, if it works for you, it works for you. And the other problem with this, I've dated multiple girls like this in the past, because I, thought to myself, hey, maybe I should go for the, self-proclaimed like trad girl and such and see what's going on with it and everything. And it just simply doesn't work for me, simply because of the fact that as these trad girls get older and older and older and have less and less contact with the opposite sex, they tend to develop a lot of other problems. Most notably, I like to call it like the nervous Nelly syndrome. They get really, really nervous and really, really awkward around men, especially when it comes to conversations about like intimacy and, physical touch and sexuality and all these things. Like when you keep this repressed for so long and then guys think that, oh, I'm just going to magically put the ring on it and kiss her and say, I do. And now I'm going to turn on the sex like it's a faucet from my sink and it's just going to come flying out of there. Good luck with that, man. I don't think it's really going to work for you, dude. I think a lot of trad guys get sold a false bill of goods of this idea that, oh, I'm going to lock down my 27, 28-year-old trad waifu, and we're just going to have like the best sex ever and have a bunch of babies and everything like this. And I don't know, man. I think you're in for a world of hurt there if you don't know what you're doing. And obviously, like I've said many, many times before on many, many other streams, I think the best way for you to actually, level up or grind for XP, as my friend Time Stealer likes to say, I think that's a much better way and a more healthy way for you to get around to the point where, I don't know, you can actually have a trad girl in your life and actually know how to manage her properly. But that's just my opinion on this one. The other thing that goes on with this as well is people have this really, really, and I saw this all the time growing up in these trad communities and such, where people will keep their children on a really tight leash with this kind of stuff. And the second they get exposed to the outside world, they literally just relapse and go with that one anyway, because it seems way more fun and way more cool, way more interesting. And, a lot of people could sit back and complain and say, oh, well, that's like a really stupid reason for leaving like a trad lifestyle. Yes, I agree. But then again, kids are stupid and kids are going to do what kids are going to do. And if you're going to, it's just like, here's the basic argument here. I shouldn't be reading the chat. It keeps on fucking me up when I look over. I got to hide you guys. I'm losing my trains of thought here. But so say you find like one of these trad chicks, right? Do you really want the chick to basically just adopt that as a skin suit, like one of the trads you see online who just owns it as a, a personality trait, or do you want a person who actually chooses that? And as far as I'm concerned, you'd want somebody who actually chooses that. We go back to the discussion of genuine desire here. The issue with you like keeping all this kind of stuff repressed down and everything like this is that it makes people resentful of you. You can't treat your kids like a narcissistic fantasy of yourself. Your kids aren't an extension of you. At the end of the day, they are their own people, and they are going to be able to go out and make their own decisions. Now, when it comes to the women here, and this guy goes on to talk about, it's like, oh, would you be okay with your daughter being spun as a plate and everything like this, and led on and not married and such like this? And the point to that would be, obviously, it's like, no, like if I was to have a daughter, it's like, yeah, I'd want her to, find a good guy and settle down, all that kind of stuff. But I think the best way of doing that is to show a healthy relationship with your parents at home, and your daughter grows up in a healthy environment that way and chooses to do that herself, as opposed to you forcing it upon her. What kind of guy wants the girl who adopts his lifestyle because she was just forced to and told to from the day she was born, basically indoctrinated into it, as opposed to actually choosing it for herself? I, for one, would much rather choose to be with a woman who chooses to be with me, who chooses to adapt to my lifestyle, as opposed to having everything, pre-plugged in. And maybe you get lucky with this. Maybe you're one of the guys who like hits the jackpot lottery and finds the, 5'4", cute little brunette, trad girl who likes to bake cookies and wants to have a bunch of kids and is really, really supportive and really kind and, sucks your dick every night and helps around the house and all that good stuff. Maybe you get super lucky with that. Good for you. Amazing. If it works out for you, more power to you, man. I salute you, sir. Fantastic that some of our guys actually get a win, every now and then. But I just see this being more and more and more, a more rare occurrence these days. I find it much easier to actually mold a chick into your frame, into, your worldview of what you want. And if she is genuinely interested in you, she'll come along for the ride, as opposed to you, treating your kid as, oh, like, I have to make sure that she does this thing at this time and get married in this way to this guy, and perpetuate these ideas and this ideology and such. It's like, is your kid a person, or is your kid an extension of you at that point? It's like, you got to be able to let them have their own decisions here. So onto the discussion over large here. Do women have agency? Well, on a metaphysical level, they absolutely do not. All our great philosophers are all correct on this, and they have been for a long time, from Aristotle to Aristophanes to Evola to Schopenhauer to Nietzsche. All of them are correct on this matter. As it relates to like metaphysics, do women, have agency? Can they like lead a relationship? Can they lead a man? Can they lead? No, this is absolutely not true. However, we are living in a extreme anomaly in history here in 2023, where the state, i.e., in the Western nations especially, but it's soon coming everywhere, because all the women, want to get in on the action here, and there's going to be plenty of beta simp guys to give them everything they want in the hope of getting the slightest whiff of pussy. But in 2023, what we have is a gynocracy in the West. Men are not in charge, women are in charge. And the problem with that is that even though on a metaphysical level, women do not have agency, it has now been basically legislated by law that they do. It's also been legislated through things like affirmative action and workplace laws and strong independent women this and industrialization that and birth control this. So we basically gotten to the point where technology has essentially given women agency, even though on a spiritual level and a metaphysical level, they are not equipped for it and they simply do not have it. Now, this poses a big problem for men in modernity here, because it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do with that information? Do you want to be the guy that exists in this old paradigm before all of these things existed, which is largely what most of, your tradcon, views and ideology are? And that's basically like you taking a spoon into a war zone, that you are going to be absolutely screwed in the world we're living in today with those set of rules, unless you're living in a extremely well gate-kept and well-maintained community, which I don't see anybody else lining up to go join the Amish anytime soon. That's just me, and it should also tell you something as well, that the second that all these technologies and all these things were made available to people, they just ran to it immediately and decided to cast away a bunch of the trad stuff. Now, ostensibly speaking, and on a metaphysical level, I do like a lot of traditionalism and patriarchy and men being in charge and what everyone would call like the trad starter kit and everything like this. My disagreement I have with many trads is number one, do I think times have changed? Obviously so, and I obviously think that requires a change in tactics for the vast majority of guys who simply just do not get lucky in this regard. Maybe you hit the jackpot and you were the so suave dude in your local church, and there was a really, really hot girl there that just immediately wanted to, jump on your bandwagon, and you guys had a happy family. And that does happen with some people. As a matter of fact, I do know a couple couples in my own life who have ran into this kind of stuff. I think their relationships have other problems, but that's a discussion for another day. So maybe you do get lucky, and that's fantastic for you. But the vast majority of guys are never going to be in that position. So this is why I am this is why I spend time in manosphere circles. This is why I spend time with all the guys that I associate with, because I think there's a lot to offer there for guys to give them tools that can actually go about and live life on their own terms. And if a woman comes along with that, fantastic, great. And then it also gives them the tools to basically, for lack of a better word, drag that woman kicking and screaming, to the eventual end state goal that you want for yourself. So in conclusion here, it's like, in 2023, you basically have to treat women, especially the ones that you are meeting off the street, meeting off a dating app, or even meeting in your church, quite frankly, in everyday life. You basically just have to treat them as if they do have agency for their actions, and they do have their ability to make their own choices and their own decisions. And the reason why you have to do this is because if you don't, all the systems, the whole like girl boss narrative, the yes queen slay, all the social media shit, the birth control, industrialization, affirmative action, all that bullshit is just going to come up and bite you right in the ass if you aren't prepared for this. It's basically like you guys know these stories about the guys who were in the trenches of World War I, and the British and the Germans at the Battle of the Somme, where 40,000 men died in a single day, where fighting using Napoleonic tactics that were 30 years out of date. And the young men in the front lines are basically screaming to the generals in the back. It's like, sir, we're getting mowed down here. And the old generals are basically telling them, nah, you're fine, son. Go on, keep going. Keep running on out there. You're just not working hard enough. It's like the simple fact of the matter is that times have changed, and you need to adapt accordingly. For the vast majority of you guys, if you don't want to, that's fine. It's no skin off my back. But this is just basically the position that I'm coming to here. So even though on a deep metaphysical level, women do not have agency, in 2023 they do in all facets of your life. Now, if you're lucky enough, and if you're skilled enough, mind you, you get a girl to a point in the relationship where that doesn't become a problem for you anymore. And that is like the sweet spot. That's the sweet zone. It's like, okay, I understand female nature. I understand the way this game is played. I understand, all the systems and agencies are all working against me right now, whether it's the church, because it's not going to enforce, things in a masculine agenda that have all been subverted by the women. The state isn't going to do it. The state's not going to hold your woman in line. The church isn't going to do it. Your community isn't going to do it. Social media isn't going to do it. The mass media isn't going to do it. Only you are going to be able to do it. And if you have those skills, which a lot of the RP guys can absolutely give you, and if you actually go out and practice and hone these skills, you can basically get to the, quote unquote trad life that you want to have. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the best way that we can go about and do it. And basically the main pushback I get from this, and I think this guy went and did another pushback here, but I'm too lazy to go look through the tweets at this point, and I'm getting tired here because I had a long day at work, and I'm going to wrap up here in a minute. But the main critique that people would throw backwards at that is like, okay, well, then basically you are saying that it's okay for women to go out and be hoes because other guys can go out and sleep with them and such, basically to grind for XP, as you're saying. And my simple response to that is, I don't give a shit. It's not my responsibility in 2023 in the gynocracy to go out and slay the dragon that is feminism. It's not my problem. It's not something for me to go out and deal with. It's not something for me to go fall on my sword for. Women have made their bed. Now they get to sleep in it. It's not my responsibility. Women are going to be whatever women are going to be in this day and age. If they want to go out and live the Sex and City hoe lifestyle, that's up to them. It's not my responsibility to save them. The only women that you guys should be caring about in your real lives are the ones that actually have an impact on you. That would be the ones you have in your relationships, your family members, the chicks that you're seeing, the chicks that you're fucking, things like that. This cosmic idea of saving the women in general is nonsensical, at the very start of it, and destructive also on top of that. You should not be wasting your time, attempting to rationalize with women saying, oh, you're making very bad choices for yourself and you shouldn't be getting a career right now. You should be starting a family. Even though all those things are entirely true and they are correct, good luck getting through to them, man. There have been generations of guys long before any of us came on this scene who were trying to do the exact same thing. And it's never going to work, man. It's just the nature of the beast, and any guys in the chat, and I've talked about this before. I think actually on discussion with Nuke at one point we discussed this, but sometimes you will have those really good girls who will go back and just do like a feminist relapse, and you got to let them go, and it really sucks. They can leave a mark on you, and I've got a couple in my mind in my own personal life who I definitely think about from time to time like that. It's like, damn, thought that was a really, really good one, but just irreconcilable differences, and she wanted to go drink the feminist Kool-Aid, and I wasn't about that, so had to let her go, and it really sucks because something maybe really great could have come of that, but shit happens, man, and you got to move on with it. And it's not your responsibility to go out there and be a save-a-hoe for all these chicks, especially in a day and age when, they get all the up and ups from everyone in society. It's not your responsibility, man. You just got to let them go. Worry about the women that you are going to interact with in your own life and take it from there. So basically, that is what I wanted to address here. Let me go scroll through the chat here, finally, not be distracted anymore. Yeah, you guys are causing me problems on my stream here, reading everything. So let's go up here. Let's see. Okay. What do you got here, Gov? Tragish person in the state. The Matt Walsh type. I'm pointing the finger at the RP guys at the same time. It's fun. Yeah, that's true as well. You'll see this all the time from everybody on like your Daily Wire types and your Con Inc types. It's just all about like, oh, men got to go and man up. Men got to man up, to save the women and all this stuff. And, how about we give a little bone to our guys here at this point? Just a thought there, Matt. But, again, Gov, we know why they're never going to do that. So RP by definition is known facts. After that, it's what you want. Too many times people make prescriptions. Yep, that's absolutely true. And the people that make the prescriptions are the ones that get the most traction because everybody's looking for, everyone's looking for a shepherd. Everyone's sheep and they're looking for somebody to guide them. Like, oh, Fresh and Fit, please help me with my life. Sign up for my Gomero course. Andrew Tate, please lead the revolutionary incel army. Jordan Peterson, please tell me 12 rules for life that will fix me, and such like this. And it's all just a grift, guys. All of it is, but it is what it is. Moving on here. People want the easy answers. So, they're just going to gravitate towards it. And that's just how it goes. Outrage sells. Let's see. When you love hearing Hawk's takes on hunting and then you remember your hardcore track. Hey, Panda, you're in the chat all the time, man. Hey, get the information you need and get out, man. You don't have to agree with me on everything. It's just my thought process here, but always appreciate you being around. Moving on here. Okay. Yeah. Conservatism. What much is there to save? Yeah, the TradCon conservatives are basically just conserving leftist talking points at this point. But again, that's a discussion for another day. Oh, this is actually a good point here, Panda. It's like, thought you said you wanted the girl to choose you. Isn't that agency on her part? Well, I guess we can address this. There's a law in biology called Brunfolt's law, and the law basically dictates that whatever gender in the species that has the sexual selector, that's the one that basically determines if the relationship happens or not. In most cases throughout the animal kingdom, this is the female, but there are some rare cases where the male is the sexual selector. I think there's something like seahorses and such, but those are like the really rare, anomalies. But yes, women are the sexual selectors in our species, and they always will be. This is just something you have to deal with. I wouldn't directly call this agency so much as like, I don't really think that much of what a woman does when she adapts to a man is a conscious feeling. It's really not. It's just something that's part of her hind brain, basically, where it's like, I have to attach to this big, strong man who's going to protect me from the saber-toothed tiger because I can't do it myself. And also, I'm going to be, with child for 9 months, and it's very taxing on the body. I can't run very fast. A predator could catch me. A rival tribe could catch me. I need protection. And the easiest way for me to get protection is to adapt to the man that is gave me this baby, basically. And so, yes, anybody who knows this and gets into a long-term relationship with a chick, she's going to adapt to your interests. I mean, how many times has this happened where a girl, who's interested in you just randomly comes up to you and like starts talking about music that you like, and she knows that you like it, and she starts addressing it, or she starts talking about like a franchise, like a nerd franchise or something you're into or something like this. This stuff is very, very common indeed. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, TK. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about RP stuff with the women. Don't talk about, these questions with the women. They're not going to take it. They can't handle it. Especially if you talk RP stuff with them, they're going to look at you like you have 3 heads. As Roald Tomasi goes over in the Rational Mill book, women just want a guy who gets it. Don't go about explaining it to them. Don't bother with it. It's not for them. It's for us. They have no concept of it because they don't live in a man's world, and they don't understand what it's like to be a hunter and have to go on the offensive and know how to be attractive. God, Nuke made an absolute dynamite point today. I retweeted it earlier today, but there was one of these female dating coaches, oxymoronic term, but that's besides the point, who was tweeting out some bullshit about how it's like, ladies, like if a man doesn't have an iPhone, he's poor and don't spend any time with him, and I'd never find him attractive. And Nuke just quote tweeted it. It's like, fellas, just remember, if you've been on one date with one woman in your life at any point, you are more qualified to talk on this topic than any female dating coach, which was just an absolute banger. And yes, Nuke is absolutely correct. Don't be explaining RP concepts to women. Bad idea. Mr. PA for 10. Hey, was that Australian dollars? Cool. Cheers for the Twitter replies. All right, cool, man. Glad you are here as always. Let's see. Soccer Life, what content you recommend to start on Red Pill? Well, I mean, I guess it depends on like where you are and where you're at and what you want. The first place to go to is go check out the Sidebar series on the old Reddit, on the old subreddit, and get started with that kind of stuff. I don't know how experienced you are, man. I don't know. Like if you're starting from square one, I don't know. I mean, generally everyone points people to Rollo's first book, The Rational Male. Yes, I think it's a very good one. My personal pick would be Ryan Stone's Praxeology, Volume 1, Frame. I think that is a fantastic book, and Ryan does some really, really good work there. And that book literally just does start you from square one there. Other classics are, No More Mr. Nice Guy, if you have trouble being assertive, if you have nice guy syndrome, or When I Say No, I Feel Guilty. That's another classic one for people to start with as well. But there's all kinds of stuff, kind of depends on where you're coming from. But yeah, another hard way. Yeah, I mean, we all did, man. I definitely had my fair share of fuck ups in this space, explaining concepts to women. It was really, really stupid, and you should never do it, but you learn. Well, wow, we've almost been going for an hour. Damn. All right. Well, guys, I just wanted to hop on here real quick and talk about this topic, so more people can understand my position on things here. Hopefully people found this informational and such. Like, comment, subscribe, share far and wide. Check out the channel, check out the Substack. We had a fantastic discussion yesterday on Conan for Man's Hour episode 50. I believe I will be having our good friend Mr. George Bagby come on next week. We're going to talk about the American frontier for Man's Hour next week. If not, then we're going to push that back 1 week. I got to get in contact with him and figure out a date. So be on the lookout for that. And then, of course, always go and check out the Old Glory Club. We did Gettysburg Day earlier this week. So if you want, a bunch of discussions about the 160th anniversary of that famous battle, go check all that good stuff out. And thanks for stopping by, guys, and we'll see you next time.